Yeah, hi, we are the Rum Ball Raders. And can you, next slide?
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, and for the past weeks, as you might have seen on our YouTube channel, we have tasted and rated rum balls, a Danish traditional pastry. We have tasted and rated rum balls from 6 different places in Copenhagen, and through a collaboration with the Diet Busters, we made and rated our own healthy rum balls. In general, what we wanted with the channel was to push the Rum Ball renaissance, as we think it is a pastry that has forgotten a bit by the Danes, and we also wanted to push the rum balls outside the borders of Denmark. To do that, we have offered the subscribers utility and emotional value, as we, for example, have tried to arouse the nostalgia among people, as it is something most Danes have grown up with. But we have also tried to make it a bit more fun for people to be reminded about, or just watch. As for example, the blind tasting, our relaxed conversations, and collaboration. Yeah, next slide.
Okay, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, moving on to potential revenue streams, we talked about that there were 3 main options or steps. And the first one would be to become part of the YouTube Partner Program, which would make it possible for us to earn money on the different kinds of ads that would be shown either on or next to our videos. Then another option would be to do partnerships with different cafes and bakeries. So essentially we could promote these, and we could potentially also create content together with a partner, for instance, like a famous baker or something. And then the last step or option, we could create an offline community by, for instance, starting a cafe with, of course, with focus on rum balls, and then also provide cooking lessons. And again, it would be possible for us to create content together with our audience in real life. Okay, next slide. So, as you know, we did a collaboration with the Diet Busters where we made a video for each of our channels, and we felt that the Diet Busters would be a relevant partner because both of our channels are centered around food, and our videos also have, I would say, a similar casual and chill atmosphere. And the aim was of this collaboration was to find a mutual subscribers segment and thereby grow our channels. And on top of that, I think that the collaborations also added some variety to our channels in terms of having different kind of videos. And next slide.
We used and 7 pieces of primal code to rig this intangible emotional glue to attract people and build our community. We started with a creation story. Like every good stories, we started with a quest to search for the best rum ball in Frederiksberg and to recreate it at home, actually. So during the creation of our videos, we coined our expression rum ball renaissance, and it's really quickly became our creed. We wanted to bring back the rum ball and to explain to others and people who didn't know what it was, what it is, and how it is important for Danes. We built a ritual as well. It was basically going to a bakery and a set of criteria to rate the rum balls. As icons, we had very strong music at the beginning of the video. that was a bit of jazzy music, and we had our logo, which is the little rumble you can see on the slide. We also had like a few sacred words such as rumble, taste, toppings, textures, to have these few things that people could recognize and feel used to. And then we considered pagans all the people that could basically not be interested in pastry or sugar and fats elements. And in the end, we were all the leaders of our group with different tasks, but all the group's members were basically the leaders. Next slide.
Okay, so internally in our group, we felt like we stayed in field 1 of the conversational fields for quite a while. Maybe that was also because some of 2 group members were entirely new in the class, so we wanted to spend some time on getting to know each other. So I think there were some concerns of politeness and avoiding face threatening. But throughout the process, we made use of bystanding by discussing the reason why we were actually doing this, and also by doing no poses and allowing one of us to kind of be the devil's advocate to make sure that ideas were useful and relevant. And that led us towards field 3 and 4, and we kind of created this container where it was safe to oppose ideas, but also safe to make moves that were a little out there. And in terms of subscribers, we encouraged for them to make moves by asking them questions about where to go, both on our Instagram and on our YouTube, and that also worked out. And lastly, in terms of our partnership with the Diet Busters, we felt like we were kind of stuck in the first 2 fields to begin with, probably also because we were so many people involved in the partnership all at once, and we had not done that much planning beforehand. Also, we were not familiar with the conversations that had taken place within each of the groups, and we were therefore not 100% familiar with the strategy and concept of the other group. But we believe that by discussing the collaboration, and probably also due to some time restraints, we moved to the next field where opposes and new moves were encouraged and also safe to make. Next slide. Okay, so this this slide was made by one of the person isn't here, but I can try to go through it a bit. Some of the main learnings for organizational growth were related to the conversational fields and the partnerships, because we found it quite difficult to overcome the politeness step, even though we were aware of how it was like an open conversation, and that, I don't know, at least I felt like we could do some input, but it was still hard to overcome it. When we moved to the breakdown step, it became somewhat impossible to get to the inquiry one, because 2 of our group members are foreign students who didn't know the Rum Balls in the beginning, so they didn't really know what that involves. So we also have to spend some time on going through that. So it was important to set a space where everyone can express themselves, and it was important to make sure that everyone was on the same page in relation to the product, in this case the Rum Ball, before starting discussing. And the partnering, the content of the partnering video was like easy to settle on, but it was actually a bit difficult to do it in real life and get it into action, because we were not working in the same ways maybe. So for next time or in another setting, we find that it would be useful to sit down and talk with our partners beforehand to precisely know each other's expectations and how the project is going to be run, at least a bit more structured than what we had. I think that was it, unless someone else wants to add something. Yeah,
Cool.
I guess that was it.
Good. Okay, few questions. I'm curious about the. Actually, I'm very curious about the collaboration video. So you say that you ran into some difficulties because you had different ways of working. What were the main differences in the approach to working?
Well, in my personal opinion, I think it was just smaller things, such as like how you film our videos, for instance. So very like practical things, where the diet busters did it a bit differently than what we were kind of used to. So we maybe had some assumptions, each of our teams, on how it should be done.
Yeah.
So it took some time to find a kind of like a middle way, and also see like, oh, you can actually do it this way. That also like works out. So I think it was more like some practical things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you use any of the partnership theory in relationship to setting up the partnership? Or did you afterward wish you had done so?
I think I don't think we used it that much, to be honest. It was more we were more focused on like, okay, we have some, like, our channels have things in common, so we felt like there were some, that it would make sense. But yeah, afterwards it would have made sense to go through like the different steps perhaps of the, I don't remember the name of the model. Yeah.
Cool. Oh yes, one more question. You mentioned at some point that you created a container in order to get through the breakdown field. What were the concrete things you did to create a container? Like one thing is to say that you did it, but I'm of course very interested, especially in your paper, to hear the sort of very concrete ways in which you did it.
Well, I would say, to be honest, I'm a bit still confused about some of the theory, but I would say that one of the things we did was also to, like, for instance, playing like the devil's advocate. That was one of the things we did, kind of saying like, okay, if we were to oppose this idea, or I don't know, challenge it in a way, how would we do it? Even if that was maybe our personal opinion, if that makes sense. More to like put it out there and get the conversation going. So I would say that was one of the ways.
And this is a very good way, right? Like sort of officially inviting people to oppose, because then when they oppose, they know, well, I'm just, basically doing what we agreed to do here. I'm not coming out of the blue and starting to opposing. So yeah, that would be it. And that is good to again, when you if you in the exam paper write something like we created a container, then it's really good to qualify it and say exactly how did we do it, what do we think were the concrete initiatives we did that helped producing the container. Cool. Anybody else has questions or comments? All right, then let's do
the sound. Can you?
Once again.
I have a little trouble with the sound. I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Sometimes.
No,
Sometimes.
Do you have any? Do you have any programs running in the background? Especially Facebook takes a ton of bandwidth. So if you have other programs running on your computer apart from Zoom, then it's good to just close them down to make sure you have bandwidth enough.
Okay.
Anyway, let's say if it keeps being a problem. Cool. So let's see. What was the name of the channel again? Rum Ball Raders.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Here we are. And polling time. 63%. We need to get higher response rates. Where's the last 17 people? Ah, now we're taking in more. Yeah, I know some can't see it. It's very peculiar, but I have no idea how to do something about that. Anyway, 73%, I think that's enough, and there is some very interesting stuff, interesting findings here in the poll, and share the results. So I think the most interesting here is probably, does the channel offer a community you would be a part of? Have you recommended this channel to a friend? So not many people have. And then, of course, with this result, you can make again a screenshot or wait for the sharing. But this gives some clear indication. Maybe is it how you can philosophize on? Is it how you do it? Is it or are rum balls just not interesting to people? I'm curious. Anybody have a comment? Is it the presentation or is it the topic? What would you say? Anybody? I know there's 24 people with a comment. Okay, well, you'll have to philosophize about it then and see if you can figure it out. But this is some interesting feedback. Good, boom, and there. And I think at least I need a little break because I need to go and make more tea. So it is now 20 minutes past 11. Should we do like a 15-minute break? Is that good?